Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're exploring Heng, the 30-second hexagram of the Yi Jing.
Oh, Hang. It's a great one, full of interesting layers, you know?
It is duration or perseverance. Those are the common translations, right? And we've got thunder over wind.
Exactly. And like you said, thunder over wind, powerful imagery, right? The symbols, they really get you thinking about the energy of this hexagram.
So let's break down those symbols a bit. We've got Zen, the trigram for thunder, and Sun for wind.
Yeah, so Zen, thunder, that's all about outward energy. It's about movement and taking action.
Say, making things happen. Got it. And then Sun, the wind.
Wind is more about inward focus, adaptability, introspection. It's about, going with the flow, not forcing things.
Interesting. So Heng isn't just about blindly charging ahead. There's an element of introspection, too.
Absolutely. And that's a core part of Heng, finding that balance between action and inward reflection. That's what creates lasting harmony, enduring success.
I see. And this idea of harmony, is that where that classic interpretation comes in? The one about the fish swimming into the net.
Exactly. The fish swimming into the net, signifying joy and ease.
Okay, but I'm still a little confused. How is a fish swimming into a net? Good. It seems kind of passive, like just waiting for things to happen.
It's not passive exactly. Think of it like this. Imagine you've prepared for, say, a big presentation. You know your stuff backwards and forwards. And when you actually deliver it, the words just flow. You connect with the audience effortlessly.
Ah, so it's like the opportunity just comes to you. But that ease only comes after you've put in the work, right?
Exactly. That's Hang in action. When you're aligned with the principle, things just fall into place. Success isn't force. It's natural. It feels right.
Okay. That makes more sense. So it applies to more than just giving a presentation.
Oh, yeah. Think about travelers returning home safely, new ventures, finding success, even marriage. Heng's a very positive sign for all those things, traditionally speaking.
Wow. Sounds like smooth sailing all around. But I'm guessing there must be some cautions associated with Heng as well, right? Can't all be sunshine and roses.
Well, of course. The Yi Jing, it's all about understanding the balance in life, right? There's always two sides to everything. One important phrase that comes up is he, you, each maintaining its position.
Each maintaining its position. So, does that mean we should just accept whatever lot we're given in life? No striving for something better?
Oh, not at all. It's more about understanding where you fit in the bigger picture, playing your part, recognizing your strengths, and not trying to force things that aren't meant for you, whether it's your career or your relationships even.
Right, so again, it's about balance. Knowing your place, but still striving to be your best within that space. Okay, are there any other things Heng warns against?
There's Hanger. Acting rashly invites disaster. Basically, Heng is saying, yeah, be ambitious, but don't be reckless.
Interesting. So there's an emphasis on, patience and calculated action.
Yes, exactly. Consistent effort. That's what Heng really emphasizes. The ability for consistent effort, it brings good fortune.
So Heng is saying you got to stay focused, put in the work, but also avoid being impulsive.
Exactly. And this is where things get even more interesting because Heng, it's not just this one big idea. It's broken down into 6 individual lines. And each of these lines adds another layer to the meaning of duration.
So we're getting more specific, zooming in on different aspects of Heng.
Exactly. For example, the first line, it warns against starting strong, but then failing to follow through, being all talk, no action.
So no slacking off.
Yeah.
Commitment from the get-go.
Right. That's what the first line is saying. And then the second line, that one's more encouraging. Remorse disappears, meaning when you're aligned with Heng, you can let go of past mistakes.
Okay. So moving on, no dwelling on regrets.
Exactly. When you're on the right path, you don't need to look back. And then line 5, this is where things get kind of tricky. It says that giving duration to one's character brings good fortune to a woman, but misfortune to a man.
Hold on, wait. What? So the same action, but opposite outcomes depending on if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher from our modern perspective.
A bit. It seems pretty unfair, honestly.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to interpret something like that?
Well, we have to remember the context. The Yi Jing, it comes from a very different time and culture. And yeah, some of the interpretations might not translate perfectly to our modern world.
So maybe it's not about the literal interpretation.
Yeah.
But more about understanding the underlying principles at play.
Right. Like maybe it's saying women, they benefit from steadfastness, loyalty, whereas men, maybe they need to be more flexible, adaptable.
Okay, so it's not just a rule book, more like a set of guidelines.
Yeah.
And we have to use our own judgment to figure out how they apply to our lives.
Exactly. And that brings us to the top line, line 6, which gives us a sort of a final warning. It says that holding on too tightly to something that's no longer serving you, that can lead to misfortune.
Interesting. So even with Heng, which is all about perseverance, there's a time to let go.
Exactly. Sometimes letting go, that's the most enduring thing you can do.
I see. So it's not about brute force. It's about knowing when to adapt, when to yield. Heng is all about finding that balance, isn't it? Effort and acceptance, persistence and flexibility.
Right. It's a lot to consider.
It is. So how can we apply this ancient wisdom to, like, our everyday lives?
Well, that's the beauty of the Yi Jing. It's timeless. Think about relationships. Remember those two trigrams, thunder and wind?
Oh, yeah. Outward action and inward reflection.
Right. You need both of those forces to create a healthy, dynamic partnership.
So it's like a dance almost.
Yeah.
Finding that rhythm together.
Yeah, exactly. Each person bringing their own strengths to the table, and both partners willing to adapt, to compromise, to understand their role in the relationship.
Okay, that makes sense. So Heng applies to relationships. What about, like, career choices?
Well, remember that phrase we talked about earlier, each maintaining its position.
Yeah.
That's key here, too. It's about finding work that feels meaningful, that aligns with your values, where you can use your unique skills to contribute to the world.
Right, so it's not just about climbing the ladder or chasing a big paycheck. It's about finding your purpose.
Exactly. True success, it's about finding that alignment between your actions and your inner self, and persevering in the pursuit of that purpose.
Okay. So we've talked about relationships, careers. What about, like, dealing with setbacks, challenges? How can Heng help us in those tough times?
One of the biggest lessons of Heng is resilience. Learning to accept what you can't change, finding ways to resolve conflicts quickly, and persevering through long-term challenges.
So, like, if you experience a loss you can't recover from, Heng says move on. Don't dwell on the past.
Yeah. It's about knowing when to cut your losses and then, redirecting that energy towards something positive.
That makes sense. Does that also apply to, like, our emotions? Dealing with difficult feelings?
Of course. It's about finding that inner strength to navigate those emotions without letting them overwhelm you.
Okay, interesting. And we briefly mentioned health issues earlier. How does Heng relate to things like, I don't know, chronic illness or long-term treatment?
Heng reminds us that some challenges, they just take time and patience. It's about finding that inner strength to keep going, even when it's tough.
It's about endurance. Wow, I'm really starting to see how Heng offers a framework for, like, approaching all of life's ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them head on with wisdom and resilience.
Exactly. It's about understanding the natural ebb and flow of life, the ups and downs, and finding that balance where effortlessness meets perseverance.
This is so inspiring, Heng. It's so much more than just an ancient divination tool. It's like a guidebook for living a meaningful life.
I agree. It reminds us that even in the face of constant change, there are these enduring principles that can guide us toward a life of meaning and purpose and fulfillment. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I gotta ask, we focused on the positives of Heng, but are there any, potential downsides, things to watch out for?
That's a good point. I mean, too much of anything can be a bad thing. Right?
Yeah. We could talk about Heng for days and still only scratch the surface.
Right. There's so much to unpack with each hexagram and the Yi Jing as a whole. It's incredible.
It really is. Each one's like its own little world of wisdom, and the more you dig into it, the more you see these connections.
It's definitely making me want to grab a copy of the Yi Jing and just dive right in.
Yeah.
Any advice on, like, the best way to approach it?
Well, traditionally people would use the Yi Jing for divination,
Oh, right, like throwing coins or those, what are they called, yarrow stocks?
Exactly, to generate a hexagram, and then they'd interpret it based on whatever question they were asking.
Interesting. So it's not just a book you read, it's more like an interactive tool for self-discovery.
Right. But even if you're not into divination, just spending time reflecting on the different hexagrams can be really insightful, I think. It's like it gets you thinking in a whole new way.
Yeah, it's like a mental workout for your intuition or something.
And what I really appreciate about the Yi Jing is it doesn't give you easy answers. It challenges you to, wrestle with big questions, to find your own way forward.
It's not about one right answer. It's about finding your answer.
Exactly. And that's why it's stood the test of time, It's not a set of rigid rules. It's a living system of wisdom that can evolve with us.
It's not just about looking back to the past, but using those ancient teachings to build a better future.
Absolutely. So I guess the takeaway here is we all have the potential to be wise and resilient, to create a life that's full of meaning.
And Heng, so it gives us a roadmap for how to do that, right?
It does. And before we go, I just want to leave you with one final thought. Perseverance. It's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through hard times. It's about developing inner strength and resilience and compassion.
It's about more than just surviving. It's about thriving. Facing life's challenges, knowing we can make the world a better place.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of Heng and of perseverance in general.
I'm glad to hear it. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise. And listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Heng. Hopefully you're feeling inspired to learn more about the Yi Jing too. Until next time, happy learning.